Hey, thanks for watching. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the game Sagrata. Sagrata is a dice drafting game in which you are making stained glass windows. If you want to take a look at the table, I'll show you what I have set up. I have get this game set up for 2 players. It can play up to 4. And so each player will get one of these windows here. This player 2 over here. And then they'll each get a card. So this player here is going to get extra points for any purple dice they have on their window at the end of the game. You'll add up the pips of the purple dice on this window. Anyways, this is kept secret over here, but each one of them gets that. These ones are drawn randomly from a deck of cards, and these give you extra points at the end of the game if you meet the requirements. So this one here, for example, if you have a row of different numbers on your window, you'll score 5 points for each row you have that. This one you'll score 2 points for every 5 and 6 you have in your window. And this one you'll score 4 points if you have each of the 5 colors in your window. Down here, these are called favor cards, and these kind of help you out. There's a lot of times you get stuck in the game, and you're able to activate these, and they'll kind of get you out of sticky situations. And again, they're drawn from a deck of cards randomly, and we put 3 out. And I'll explain that maybe a little bit later. Up here we have our round tracker. We're going to play 10 rounds. And I'll explain that in a little bit. And on the back is actually the scorecard that we can use there. Now each player is going to get 2 of these cards. I just have 3 out just to show you, but they range from 3 dots, which is easy, all the way up to 5 dots, which is a little bit harder of a puzzle. They're both double-sided, so you have a choice. So when you get 2 cards, you have a choice of 4 windows to pick from. I always go for the 5 one. And I'll explain that in just a bit, but we'll go with that. So we take that one, and then what we do is we slide it into the window itself. Just that easy. And that's our window that we're going to try to make. Now, because my card had 5 dots on the bottom, I get these things here. I get 5 favor tokens, which allow me to use those favor cards I showed a little bit earlier. Now, if we had a card that had 3 dots on it, you'd only get 3 favor tokens. And I'm going to explain that a little bit later, but that's what it is now. Now we're going to assume that the other player has picked their card. We won't set it up, but we just assume that they've got theirs done. Now to play the game, we're going to roll some dice, and we're going to draft it and put it onto our window. Now I'm just going to go over this real quick. If you can see here, it says a number 5, so only a number 5 dice can go in that slot. Here we have a blue, and only a blue dice can go in that slot. And the whites are kind of open to what you want. Here we have a red one, and so on. However, the rule is that if I put a 5 here, for example, I could not put a red 5 beside it. You cannot have the same 2 numbers side by side, nor could you have the same color side by side. So having a red 5 here and a red dice here would not work, or having a 5 here and a red 5 here would not work. That would be illegal. However, you could have a diagonal. Okay? The first dice you draft has to go on the outside of your window, and then from there each dice has to touch a previous dice that you've already placed, including diagonals will work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. So what you do is you draw, if I'm the first player, I would draw 5 dice. It's 2 dice per player plus 1. So if you're playing a 3-player game, it would be 7 dice that you would draw. Okay, but we're playing a 2-player game, so it would be 5. So there's a big bag of dice here, and I'll draw 5 randomly. There's 3, they're all green ones. Now how the turn works is that player 1 will draw 1 dice, and then player 2 will draw 2 dice, and then back to player 1. So it goes A, B, B, A. And then there's 1 dice left over, which goes on our round tracker here, which once we get down on round 10, we're done. If you're playing with 3 players, it would be person A, person B, person C, person C, person B, person A. Okay? So it's unusual to draw this many green ones. That usually doesn't happen like that. But for example, I could draw this green 5, and I could place the 5 right there, and that's a legal move. So then the other player would draw their 2 dice, and let's say I'm left with this here. I got a green 5 and a yellow 1. Well, the yellow 1 is fairly easy to place. I could place it here. That is a legal move. Well, actually, that would be a bad move to place because this one needs a 1. So by putting a 1 there, I'm painting myself into a corner. But I could place it there because it's requiring a 1, and a yellow is fine, and there's no other yellows around it. I can't place it there because it's yellow, obviously, or there, because this one needs a blue one. But I could place it there. So for now, because it's a 1, I'll just do that. And so then there's 1 dice left over, and it goes on the round marker. And then the bag of dice would go then to the next player, who would draw 5 dice, and we would do the same thing again. Now these favor cards, what they do is they allow you to manipulate the board a little bit. There's a lot of times you will get yourself painted into a corner, and they'll help you get out of it. And what happens is, to use one of these cards, you take one of your favor tokens and you place it on the card, and you can do whatever it says. Now, because there's a favor token on that card, anybody else, including myself, that wants to use that card again, it costs 2 favor tokens. And so you can see, getting a card that only gives you 3 favor tokens, it can go away pretty fast. That's why I always go for the 5, just because I have some left over. And that's basically how you play. You play until you get your window finished, or in some cases you can't get it finished because you're stuck. And then what you do is you would flip over your card, and so in this case I would count up all my purple dice. I'd count the pips on each dice, and that would give me that. I'd see if I met any of the requirements for these ones. And that's about it. That's how you play. You also get points for any favor tokens you have left over. So in this case I'd have 2 more points. And whoever has the most points wins. So I really enjoy this game. This game is very simple to learn. I've taught this game to people of all ages, and everyone seems to really enjoy it. It doesn't take long to catch on, and yet it's thinky enough that it gives you the satisfaction of being a really good game. Very rarely do we ever play this game without playing a second one. Usually people, when we play it, they always want to play a second one. So that is Sagrata. If you're interested, why don't you let me know, and I'll bring it to the table for you, and I'll teach you how to play. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.